The thing about family gatherings is that they always start with hugs and end with wounds that take months to heal. I should know. I'm usually the one bleeding. Louisa, darling, what are you wearing? My mother's voice carried that familiar note of disdain as she air-kissed my cheek. I thought we discussed updating your wardrobe. Eliana could take you shopping. I smoothed down my black silk dress, the one that cost more than my first month's rent, and forced a smile. I'm good, Mum. The dress is Valentino. Oh. She blinked, then quickly recovered. Well, it's interesting. Did you find it at one of those consignment shops? Before I could respond, my sister Eliana swept in, wearing her signature power suit, perfect makeup, and that insufferable smile that said, I'm crushing it at life. The living room instantly gravitated toward her like moths to a flame. The Johnson merger finally closed, Eliana announced, accepting congratulatory hugs. Made partner 6 months ahead of schedule. My mother practically glowed. That's my girl, Victor. Did you hear that? Our Eliana, youngest partner in her firm's history. Dad nodded from his armchair, managing a weak smile. He looked tired, more tired than usual. I caught the slight tremor in his hand as he reached for his whiskey. And what about you, Louisa? Aunt Margaret turned to me. Still doing that little online thing? My e-commerce company? Yes, we're actually... She sells trinkets on the internet, my mother cut in, waving her hand dismissively. But hopefully it's just a phase. I keep telling her to interview at real companies, like her sister. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted copper. If they only knew that my little online thing had paid their mortgage for the past 18 months, that the only reason they still had this house to host their precious family gatherings was because I quietly transferred funds every month to cover their underwater payments. Speaking of success, my mother chirped, I have something special for Eliana. She disappeared upstairs, returning with a familiar velvet box. My heart stopped. No, I whispered. That's Grandma's bracelet. The one she always promised would be mine, I didn't add. My mother's eyes flickered to mine for just a moment before she turned to Eliana. Your grandmother would have wanted her most successful granddaughter to have this. It represents our family's legacy of excellence. Eliana's perfectly manicured hands trembled as she fastened the delicate gold chain around her wrist. The same wrist that had never known manual labor, never packed shipping boxes until 3 a.m., never built anything from nothing. It's beautiful, Eliana breathed. I'll treasure it forever. I excused myself to the bathroom, phone clutched in my shaking hand, locked the door, slid down against it, opened my email. The message from Silicon Valley's biggest e-commerce marketplace sat bold in my inbox. Final acquisition offer, $50,000. I laughed, a quiet, broken sound that echoed off the bathroom tiles. My little online thing was worth more than everyone at this gathering combined. The same business they'd mocked for years had just made me set for life. A knock at the door made me jump. Louisa? It was Dad. Your mother's about to serve dessert. Coming, I called back, voice steady despite the storm inside me. As I walked back to the living room, I heard my mother's voice. At least Eliana gives us something to be proud of. I don't know where we went wrong with the other one. I paused in the hallway, my hand hovering over my phone. The acquisition offer waited for my response. One click and I could show them exactly how wrong they were. One signature and I could buy this house 10 times over. But revenge, like the best dishes, needs perfect timing. I stepped back into the room, smiled at my mother, and accepted a slice of her famous apple pie. Delicious as always, Mum, she beamed, completely missing my sarcasm. See? Even Louisa can recognize quality when she sees it. I took another bite, letting the too sweet filling coat my tongue. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the buyers, asking for my decision. Actually, I said, standing up, I need to head out. Got some work to handle. Oh, more little crafts to sell. My mother's laugh was sharp as glass. I grabbed my coat, catching a glimpse of my grandmother's bracelet glinting on Eliana's wrist. Something like that. Walking to my car, I finally opened the acquisition email. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for just a moment before I typed, I accept your offer. Let's discuss terms. Sometimes the best revenge isn't served hot or cold. Sometimes it's served with a side of perfect timing and a 7-figure check. 5 years earlier, I sat cross-legged on my tiny apartment floor, surrounded by shipping labels and handmade jewellery. My first Etsy sale had just pinged through, $24.99 for a pair of crystal earrings. Look, I practically screamed into my phone. Someone actually bought something. That's nice, dear, my mother had replied, distracted. But listen, Eliana just got offered a summer associate position at Thompson & Reed. We're having a celebration dinner tonight. I can't make it. I need to package this order and... Honestly, Louisa, when are you going to stop playing store and get a real job? Your father and I didn't pay for your business degree so you could sell trinkets on the internet. That conversation played on repeat in my head as I built my company from that single sale to thousands, then millions. Every milestone was met with the same dismissal. Dad? I called out, descending the basement stairs. He'd asked for help refinishing some old furniture, a rare father-daughter moment I couldn't pass up. Over here, he waved from behind a dusty dresser. Thanks for coming. Your mother doesn't know I asked you. I rolled up my sleeves. Why's that? He hesitated, wiping sweat from his forehead. She thinks you're not reliable. The sandpaper crackled under my fingers as I worked. Is that why you're refinishing all this stuff? To sell it? His silence was answer enough. Dad, are you and Mum having money problems? He wouldn't meet my eyes. Nothing for you to worry about. Just some temporary setbacks with investments. The market's been rough. I noticed the stack of papers poorly hidden behind paint cans. Second mortgage application forms. My stomach twisted. Later that night, I called Miles, my best friend, and now COO of my company. They're broke, aren't they? He asked after I explained. Looks like it. Dad's trying to get another mortgage. Mum's still buying designer everything and telling everyone how well they're doing. While simultaneously telling everyone you're a failure? Miles snorted. Classic. I logged into my banking app, staring at my account balance. Even after reinvesting most profits back into the business, I had more than enough to help. I'm going to pay their mortgage, I said quietly. What? Lou, no, they don't deserve... Through a shell company, I continued. They'll never know it's me. Miles was silent for a long moment. You're too good for them, you know that? The next day, I set up the payments. Every month, like clockwork, money flowed from my account through a holding company to their mortgage lender. They never missed a payment, because of me. 2 weeks later, I overheard my mother on the phone with her friend Sandra. It's just heartbreaking, she sighed dramatically. Louisa's still living that freelance lifestyle, wasting her 20s. Thank goodness Eliana's there to support us in our retirement planning. I nearly dropped my coffee mug. Support them? I was the one keeping their roof over their heads. That evening, Eliana called me, sounding strange. Hey, got a minute? Sure, what's up? Have you noticed anything off with Mom and Dad lately? I tensed. What do you mean? I saw some papers on Dad's desk. They're behind on payments, Lou. Like, seriously behind. The bank's threatening foreclosure. My blood ran cold. The payments I'd been making, they weren't enough. What else weren't they telling me? Maybe you could help them, Eliana suggested. I know your little business thing. My little business thing is doing just fine, I snapped. Why don't you help them with your big lawyer salary? Silence crackled between us. I can't, she finally whispered. I'm barely keeping up with my own bills. The firm, things aren't great right now. The perfect sister's perfect life wasn't so perfect after all. I hung up and immediately called my accountant. I need you to find out exactly how much my parents owe, and to whom. All of it? Every last penny. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about my first sale, that tiny ping of validation, about all the nights I'd worked until my fingers bled, building something real while they laughed, about the mortgage payments I'd made while they praised Eliana for her support. My phone lit up with a text from Miles. Got the numbers. You're not going to like this. I stared at the ceiling, a plan forming in my mind. Maybe it was time to stop hiding in the shadows. Maybe it was time to show them exactly what their failure of a daughter could do. Send them to me, I texted back. All of them. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just about money. It's about making them face every single lie they've told. About you, about themselves, about everything. You want to do what? Miles leaned back in his chair, eyes wide. We were sitting in my office, surrounded by the evidence of my little online thing, a whole floor of a downtown high-rise. I slid the papers across my desk. Buy their debt, all of it, through the holding company we already use for the mortgage payments. That's, he whistled low, that's cold, Lou. I love it. My phone buzzed. Another text from my mother. Darling, could you loan me a little something for the country club dues? Just until next month. I ignored it, just like I'd ignored the last 6 emergency requests. Instead, I pulled up the bank's contact information. Alejandro Lewis's office. How can I help you? This is Louisa. I need to discuss acquiring some outstanding loans. 20 minutes later, I sat across from Alejandro, watching him review the paperwork. His eyebrows climbed higher with each page. You understand what you're proposing? He asked carefully. Purchasing all your parents' debt would make you their primary creditor. That's the point? He nodded slowly. The total amount, including the second mortgage, credit lines, and personal loans, comes to just over $892,000. I didn't flinch. That was pocket change compared to the acquisition offer sitting in my inbox. Draw up the papers. Walking out of the bank, I ran into Andrea, another entrepreneur from my network. She took one look at my face and said, "Coffee, now." At our usual cafe, I spilled everything. Girl, Andrea set down her latte. I get it. They hurt you, but revenge like this? It might feel good now, but what? They deserve it. Maybe. But don't become what you're trying to punish. Don't let their toxicity turn you toxic. I stirred my coffee, watching the cream create patterns. You don't know what it was like. Winter of 2019, I couldn't afford heat. Lived on ramen for months, all while building this company. And where were they? And Mum was redecorating the house. Dad needed a new car. Eliana got engaged, needed help with the down payment on her condo. I laughed bitterly. Meanwhile, I was skipping meals to make payroll. Andrea reached across the table, squeezed my hand. Just be careful. Revenge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Back at the office, Miles was waiting with the acquisition paperwork. Final offers here, he said. 50 million, clean deal. You sure about this timing? I signed without hesitation. Perfect timing. My phone buzzed again. My mother. Louisa, please call me back. It's about the club dues. Also, we're having a family dinner next weekend. Eliana has news. I texted back, can't make it. Business meeting. Her response was immediate. This is family. Your little online shop can wait. My little online shop that just sold for $50 million. My little online shop that was about to own every penny they owed. The next morning, Alejandro called. The debt purchase is complete. You now officially own all their outstanding loans. Perfect. Don't tell them yet. I want to handle this personally. I hung up and walked to my window, looking out over the city. Somewhere out there, my parents were probably planning another family gathering where they'd praise Eliana and dismiss me. They had no idea their world was about to shift on its axis. Miles appeared at my door. The first transfer from the acquisition just hit our accounts. Want to celebrate? Not yet. I turned to face him. First, I need you to help me plan something. The revenge dinner? His eyes lit up. I've got ideas. We spent the next hour plotting, making sure every detail was perfect. The timing, the reveals, the exact moment when they'd realised their failure daughter owned them. My phone buzzed one more time. Eliana. Lou? Mum's freaking out about money again. Says the bank's being weird about their loans. Do you know anything about that? I smiled into the phone. No idea. Must be rough, not having enough money. Speaking of which, how's the law firm doing? Her pause spoke volumes. It's fine. Everything's fine. Sure it is. See you at dinner next week. You're coming? Wouldn't miss it for the world. I hung up and looked at the framed dollar from my first sale, hanging on my office wall. Next to it was my mother's quote from years ago. That little hobby of yours will never amount to anything. The debt contract sat on my desk, signed and sealed. Soon they'd learn exactly what my little hobby had amounted to. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just about taking power, it's about showing them they never had it in the first place. The call came at 2 a.m. I almost ignored it, but Eliana's name flashing on my screen was unusual enough to make me answer. "I screwed up," she slurred. "I screwed up so bad, Lou." "Where are you?" "Bar. Downtown. The fancy one where," she hiccuped, "where successful people drink away their failures." 20 minutes later, I found her slumped at the bar, designer suit wrinkled, mascara smeared. The perfect sister wasn't looking so perfect. "They're laying people off," she mumbled as I helped her into my car. "Whole departments. Partner track's frozen. Everything Mum and Dad bragged about. It's gone." I handed her a water bottle. "Does Mum know?" "God, no." Eliana laughed bitterly. "She's too busy planning my promotion party. Keeps telling everyone how her daughter's crushing it at the biggest firm in town. While the firm's sinking? While I'm drowning?" She turned to me, eyes glassy. "You know what's funny? I hate it. All of it. The law, the pressure, the perfect life Mum designed for me. I never wanted any of it." I gripped the steering wheel tighter. "Then why did you go along with it?" "Same reason you kept paying their mortgage, to make them happy." She caught my startled look. "Yeah, I know about that. I'm a drunk failure, not a stupid one." We sat in silence for a moment, streetlights casting shadows across the dashboard. "Tom and I are separating," she added quietly. "Another thing Mum can't know. The perfect marriage too." I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. "You could have told me," I said. "All those times you joined Mom in mocking my choices." "I was jealous." Eliana's voice cracked. "You built something real, something yours. I just built a facade." The next morning, I met Andrea for our weekly coffee. She took one look at me and knew something was up. Spill. I told her about Eliana's confession, about the cracks in the golden child's pedestal. "Maybe she's not the enemy," Andrea suggested. "Sounds like she's another victim of your mother's perfectionism." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A neighborhood Facebook group notification. My mother was at it again. So blessed to have such successful daughters. One's making partner at the city's top firm, and the other, well, she's finding her way. "Proud mama, our Shalom-blessed family." Andrea read over my shoulder and snorted. "Finding your way straight to owning their debt, more like." She has no idea what's coming. I showed her the email from Alejandro. The bank scheduled their loan review meeting for next week. "You're not going?" "No." I smiled. "I'll be at the spa. Let them sweat it out with the bank manager first." Later that day, I overheard my mother on the phone while picking up some papers from their house. "Of course we've managed our finances perfectly," she was saying. "Victor and I are excellent with money. Not like Louisa, still playing with her little website. Thank goodness Eliana supports us." I stepped into view, making her jump. "Hey, Mum, just grabbing those tax documents Dad mentioned." "Oh, darling, I didn't see you there." She covered the phone. "Are you still doing that online thing? Sandra's nephew is hiring at his accounting firm. Much more stable." "I'm good, Mum. How's the country club membership going? Get those dues sorted out." She flushed slightly. "We're handling it." "I'm sure you are." I headed for the door, then paused. "By the way, how's Eliana's promotion party planning going?" "Wonderfully. We're thinking of renting the country club ballroom. Although," she hesitated, "we might need to adjust the date. Some scheduling conflicts at the firm." More lies. Always more lies. My phone buzzed. Alejandro confirming next week's meeting. Soon, every lie would come crashing down. As I left, I heard my mother resume her phone conversation. "Yes, we're just so blessed. Everything's perfect here. Absolutely perfect." I got into my car and pulled out the acquisition paperwork. $50 million. Enough to buy and sell their perfect facade 100 times over. My phone buzzed again. Eliana. "Mom's planning this party. I don't know how to tell her. Help?" I stared at the message for a long moment before replying. "Don't worry. Everything's about to change anyway." Looking back at the house, I saw my mother still on the phone, probably spinning more tales about her perfect life and her perfect daughter. The facade was cracking, but she was too proud to notice. Sometimes the biggest lies we tell are to ourselves, but reality has a way of demanding payment, with interest. "Another mimosa, Miss Louisa?" The spa attendant held out a fresh glass. Perfect timing. I checked my phone. 2:15 p.m. My parents would be walking into the bank right about now. Miles lounged in the chair beside me, cucumber slices over his eyes. "You're evil, you know that? Making them sweat it out while you're getting a hot stone massage." "Karma needs a good backdrop." I sipped my drink. "Besides, I earned this." My phone buzzed. A text from Alejandro. "They've arrived. Your mother's wearing pearls and attitude." I could picture it perfectly. Mom in her best power outfit, probably the Chanel suit she bought instead of paying their property taxes. Dad trailing behind, quiet and confused. "How long are you going to let them stew?" Miles asked. "Alejandro has strict instructions. First, show them the new payment terms. Then, when Mom inevitably demands to know who bought their debt, he'll mention it's a private holding company." I smiled. "One that's very interested in their property." Another text from Alejandro. "Your mother just insisted their daughter is a senior partner at a law firm. Said there must be some mistake." "What did you tell them?" I typed back. "That their new creditor has all their financial records, including proof of missed payments and credit card debt." I remembered a conversation from years ago, right when I'd started my company. Mum's friend Sandra had offered to invest. "Let me guide you, dear," she'd said, dripping with condescension. "You need someone with real business experience." "What's the catch?" I'd asked. "Oh, nothing major. Just give me controlling interest. After all, you're just starting out." I'd walked away. Mum hadn't spoken to me for weeks. My phone lit up again. Alejandro. "Your mother's demanding to speak to the holding company's owner personally. Says she has connections who can make things difficult." Miles peeked out from under his cucumbers. "She's threatening you without knowing it's you? That's priceless." "Tell her the owner will be in touch," I replied to Alejandro. The spa attendant appeared with more champagne, just as another text came through. "Your father hasn't said a word. Just keep staring at the payment schedule. Your mother's getting louder." I forwarded the message to Miles, who actually giggled. "This is better than Netflix." "The best part," I said. "Mum's probably already called Eliana for legal advice, but Eliana's too busy hiding her own problems to help." "Speaking of problems," Miles sat up, cucumbers falling. "When are you dropping the final bomb?" "Family dinner next week. Mum's still insisting on celebrating Eliana's promotion." I made air quotes. "Seems like the perfect time to reveal some truths." My phone buzzed one last time. Alejandro. "Meeting over. Your mother left in tears. Your father asked for a copy of all documents. Should I provide them?" "Yes," I replied. "Let them take everything home and stew in it." I settled back in my chair, letting the spa music wash over me. Somewhere across town, my parents were probably speed dialing every contact they had, trying to figure out who owned their debt, trying to maintain control of a situation that had slipped through their manicured fingers years ago. "Remember when your mum told everyone at Christmas that your business was cute?" Miles asked. "Right after I'd hit my first million in sales?" "Yeah. And when she tried to set you up with that investment banker because you need someone stable in your life?" I laughed. "He spent the whole date telling me how to pivot to a real career." My phone rang. Eliana. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later. "Lou, what's going on? Mum's hysterical about some bank meeting. Keeps saying they're being attacked by vulture capitalists. Call me back." "Vulture capitalists?" Miles snorted. "Is that what they're calling successful daughters now?" The spa attendant appeared again. "Your massage is ready, Ms. Louisa." I stood up, stretching. "Perfect. Nothing like a relaxing massage while your parents' world implodes." "You know they'll figure it out eventually," Miles called after me. "That's the plan." I paused at the door. "But first, let them feel what I felt. The uncertainty, the powerlessness, the knowledge that everything they built is balanced on lies." My phone buzzed one final time. "Mom. Darling, are you coming to dinner next week? We need to discuss some family matters. Very urgent. Please respond." I typed back, "Wouldn't miss it for the world." Sometimes revenge isn't about the final blow. It's about watching them squirm, knowing the blow is coming but not knowing from where, or from whom. The tension in the dining room was thick enough to cut with my mother's best silver butter knife. She'd gone all out. Crystal glasses, fine china, forced smiles that didn't reach anyone's eyes. "Wine, Louisa." Dad's hand shook as he poured. "Please." I smoothed down my Armani dress. Not that they'd recognize the label. "How was your week?" Mum's smile tightened. "Oh, you know, the usual. Though we did have an interesting meeting at the bank." "Really?" I sipped my wine. "Do tell." Before she could respond, Eliana burst through the door, looking decidedly unperfect. Her hair was messy, her designer suit wrinkled. "Sorry I'm late," she mumbled, dropping into her chair. "Work thing." "Darling, are you all right?" Mum reached for her hand. "You look tired." "I'm fine." Eliana grabbed the wine bottle, poured herself a generous glass. "Just fine. Everything's fine." "Of course it is." Mum brightened artificially. "We're celebrating your promotion, after all." Eliana's glass froze halfway to her lips. "Mum, I've invited the whole country club circle for next weekend's party. Sandra's bringing her nephew. You remember him, Louisa? The investment banker." I set down my fork. "Mum, stop." "What? I'm just trying to..." "To what? Keep pretending everything's perfect?" I turned to Eliana. "Tell her." Eliana's face crumpled. "I'm not. There's no promotion, Mum. The firm's laying people off. I might not even have a job next month." The silence that followed was deafening. But you said..." Mum's voice trembled. "I never said anything," Eliana snapped. "You just assumed. You always assume. Perfect daughter, perfect job, perfect life. It's all falling apart." Dad cleared his throat. "Perhaps we should discuss the bank situation?" "Not now, Victor." Mum's voice rose sharply. "We need to focus on helping Eliana. I'm sure it's just a temporary setback. We can ask around, use our connections." I laughed. A short, sharp sound that made everyone jump. "What connections, Mum? The country club you can't afford? The social circle you're lying to?" "How dare you?" "No, how dare you?" I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app. "Want to know something interesting? For the past 2 years, I've been paying your mortgage. My little online shop kept this roof over your head while you bragged about Eliana supporting you." Mum's face went white. Dad suddenly became very interested in his plate. "But that's not even the best part." I leaned forward. "You know that mysterious holding company that bought your debt? The one that had you crying in the bank last week?" Recognition dawned in Eliana's eyes first. "Lou, you didn't..." "I did." I smiled, reaching into my bag. "I own every penny you owe, every loan, every credit card, every second mortgage you took out to keep up appearances." I placed my company's branded mug, the one from our first product line, in the center of the table. Mum stared at it like it was a snake. That's impossible. Your little website? Just sold for $50 million. The words fell like bombs. Turns out selling trinkets on the internet was a pretty good career choice after all. Mum's wine glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the hardwood. Red wine spread like blood across her precious Persian rug. "You can't," she whispered. "I can. I did. And now you have choices to make." I stood up slowly. "You can keep living this lie, pretending everything's perfect while drowning in debt. Or you can face reality. Your call." "Louisa, please." Dad finally spoke. "We're family." "Family?" I laughed again. "Family doesn't mock each other's dreams. Family doesn't play favourites. Family doesn't lie." Eliana was crying silently, grandmother's bracelet glinting on her wrist. "You have 6 months," I continued. "Either start paying market rate rent or move out. And Mum? The country club dues are no longer my problem." I grabbed my purse and headed for the door, pausing only to look back at their shocked faces. "Oh, and Eliana, when you're ready to stop living Mum's version of your life, call me. I'm hiring." Mum found her voice just as I reached the doorway. "You, ungrateful, after everything we've done for you." "No, Mum, after everything I've done for you." I smiled one last time. "By the way, this dress? It's Armani. paid for with my silly little online business. The door closed behind me with a satisfying click. Through the window, I could see Mom collapsed in her chair, Dad staring blankly at the mug on the table, and Eliana, for the first time in years, looking at me with something like admiration. Sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't in the revelation itself, but in watching them realize that everything they believed was wrong. Dead wrong. The voicemail started at midnight. "Louisa, this is your mother. Call me immediately. We need to discuss your behavior." Delete. "Sweetie, please. We can work this out. Your father and I only wanted what's best." Delete. "How dare you humiliate us like this, after everything we've sacrificed." Delete. By morning, my inbox was full of similar messages. I forwarded them all to Miles, who responded with a string of popcorn emojis. Andrea called while I was reviewing acquisition paperwork. "Your mum just posted in the neighborhood group. You might want to see this." I pulled up Facebook. There it was. "Prayers needed for our family, dealing with a difficult situation involving our youngest. Sometimes success changes people." The comments were already flowing in. "Stay strong. Family first. Money isn't everything." I was about to close the app when a private message popped up from Sandra, Mum's best friend. "Remember when I offered to invest in your little business? Funny how things work out. Perhaps we could discuss a partnership now." I typed back, "Sorry, not interested in partnerships with people who only see value after the fact." Block. My office door opened and Miles walked in, waving an envelope. "Your dad dropped this off. Wouldn't come up, just left it with reception." The letter inside was handwritten, shaky. "Dear Louisa, I know we've had our differences. Poor communication on both sides. But you have to understand, your mother and I only pushed you because we saw your potential. Perhaps we pushed too hard in the wrong direction. The bank situation is difficult. Your mother's pride is hurt. Maybe we could discuss this privately, without her knowing. Love, Dad." I crumpled the paper and threw it in my trash bin. Still trying to hide things from Mum, still avoiding real confrontation. My phone buzzed. "Alejandro, your sister's here at the bank. She's asking about the holding company's paperwork." "Give her whatever she wants to see," I replied. "She deserves to know the whole truth." An hour later, Eliana texted, "Holy shit, Lou. The scholarship. Did you know?" My heart stopped. "What scholarship?" "Senior year of high school. Full ride to that art and business program you wanted. Mum rejected it without telling you. Said it wasn't a proper education." The world tilted sideways. I remembered that spring. The disappointment when no acceptance letters came. Mum's insistence that traditional business school was the only path. "How did you find out?" I typed back. "It's in the bank records. Mum used your rejection letter as proof of income when refinancing the house. But there was no rejection. There was an acceptance and a full scholarship offer. She just threw it away." My hands shook as I called Andrea. "They stole my future," I said when she picked up. "Or they tried to?" "But they failed," she reminded me gently. "You built your own future anyway." I drove past my parents' house that evening. Mum's car was gone, but the porch light was on, flickering like it always had. How many nights had I come home to that light, feeling like a failure because I wasn't living their dream? Another text from Eliana. "I found something else. That trust fund Grandma left us? Mum cleaned it out years ago, used it for country club fees and her designer wardrobe. I pulled over, letting the truth sink in. Every sacrifice, every struggle, every night I'd worked until dawn. It wasn't just because I was building something. It was because they'd stolen my safety net." My phone rang. Mum again. This time I answered. "The country club board is meeting tomorrow," she said without preamble. "They're voting on our membership renewal. You have to help us." "No." "But our reputation. Your reputation is built on lies, Mum. All of it. How dare you? I am your mother." A mother who threw away my scholarship, who stole my trust fund, who spent years telling me I was worthless while living off my success. Silence. "The truth hurts, doesn't it?" I continued. "Almost as much as watching your daughter struggle while you wear Chanel bought with her inheritance." I hung up and sat in my car, watching that flickering porch light. Tomorrow I'd call my lawyers. Have them set up a trust for the house, one that would require both Eliana's signature and mine for any decisions. Let Mom deal with that power shift. My phone lit up one last time, a text from Miles. You okay? No, I replied honestly, but I will be. Sometimes revenge doesn't feel like victory. Sometimes it feels like finally lancing a wound that's been festering for years. It hurts, it bleeds, but maybe now it can finally heal. The house goes on the market tomorrow, I told Miles, watching the real estate agent hammer the for sale sign into the front lawn. Mum hasn't spoken to me since the trust paperwork arrived. And Eliana, starting her new job next week. Head of legal for my former company. I smiled. Turns out she's pretty brilliant when she's not trying to be perfect. The front door opened. Mum stepped out, designer bag clutched like a shield. She'd aged decades in weeks, her carefully maintained facade cracking like old paint. You're really doing this, she said, voice flat. The trust gives you options. Pay market rate rent or move out. Your choice. Where are we supposed to go? Everything we built? Everything you pretended to build, I corrected. While stealing my trust fund and hiding my scholarship. She flinched. I was protecting you. From what? Success? Independence? Because that worked out great, didn't it? Dad appeared behind her, carrying boxes. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. Your grandmother's jewellery box, he said quietly, holding it out. It should be yours. Inside lay the bracelet, the one they'd given Eliana. She'd returned it last week, along with a letter apologising for years of complicit silence. Keep it, I said. Sell it. You'll need the money. Louisa, Mum stepped forward. We can fix this. Go back to how things were. No, we can't, and I don't want to. I turned to leave, then stopped. By the way, I bought that antique store on Mason Street, the one you always said was beneath our family status. Her eyes widened. The one your grandmother loved? I'm turning it into a business incubator, helping other silly little online shops get started. Named it after Grandma, the only person who ever believed in me. She'd be proud, Dad whispered. Mum's face hardened. She'd be ashamed of all of us. No, I said quietly. She'd be ashamed of you, for stealing her grandchildren's inheritance, for crushing their dreams, for caring more about appearances than actual success. The real estate agent approached with paperwork. The listing goes live at midnight. Are we ready? I signed where indicated, then handed the pen to Eliana, who'd arrived silently during our conversation. You too? Mum's voice cracked. Both my daughters. Both your daughters finally free, Eliana said, signing. By the way, I cancelled your country club membership. Used my power of attorney while it was still valid. Mum swayed like she'd been slapped. The movers come Tuesday, I said. Don't forget anything. Whatever's left gets donated. To those charity shops you hate so much, Eliana added with a small smile. We walked to our cars together, leaving our parents standing in front of the house they'd filled with lies. The porch light flickered one last time, then went dark. You know what's funny? Eliana said as we pulled away. I found Mom's old yearbook. She wasn't even popular in high school. All this status obsession. She was trying to rewrite her own history through us. And now she has no status at all. Calm as a bitch in designer clothes. We drove to the antique store. My new project. The faded sign still hung. Margaret's Treasures, named for our grandmother. By next month, it would be Margaret's Innovation Hub, where small dreams grow big. Think we did the right thing? Eliana asked, staring at the storefront. Setting boundaries isn't wrong. Making them face consequences isn't wrong. But they're still our parents. Biology isn't a blank check for bad behaviour. My phone buzzed. A text from Mum. I found your first business plan, the one you wrote in high school. I should have read it back then. I'm sorry I didn't. Too little, too late, but still. Maybe someday they'll understand, I said, pocketing my phone. Maybe they won't. Not our problem anymore. Eliana touched the store's window. Grandma used to bring me here, you know. Said every old thing had a story worth telling. Like how a failed daughter built a $50 million company. Like how two sisters finally learned their worth wasn't measured by their mother's approval. I unlocked the store's door. breathing in the familiar scent of aged wood and possibility. On the counter sat my first product sample, a simple handmade bracelet priced at $24.99, the one that started everything. Ready to build something new? I asked Eliana. She smiled, a real smile, not the perfect one she'd worn for so long. Ready to be real? Sometimes the best revenge isn't in destroying what hurt you. It's in building something better from the ashes, something true, something yours. And if that something helps others find their strength, even better. The door chimed as we stepped inside, leaving the past where it belonged, behind us, in a house with a for sale sign and a broken porch light.